Nityananda. Jai Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda. Jai Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jai Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jai Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Achyara Timirandasya, Jnana Shalakya, Chakshunvitamena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Krishnaya Bodily, Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swami Nidiname, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Prashari, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Veshadharini, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasati Bhaktivinoda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna. There's only 73 slokas. We'll finish fast. Ananda Lila, my Vigrahaya, Hema, Vidivya Chavisundara, Tasmai Mahaprema Rasakridaya, Shri Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. I'm simply trying to write about Lord Gaurachandra's transcendental activities and spiritual madness, which are very wonderful and uncommon. I dare to write to them only because I have heard from the mouths of those who have personally seen the Lord's activities. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Chandra, and all glories to all the devotees of the Lord. Absorbed in ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu acted and talked like a madman day and night. In the company of Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Rai, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu once passed half the night talking about the pastimes of Lord Krishna. It was Mahaprabhu exhibiting the quality of a devotee. Machitta matkada prana bodayanda parasparam kadayandashamam nityam tushandicharam nandisha. Devotees always like to talk about Krishna. So Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Rai is Lalita and Vishaka. In that way, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is talking about Krishna to them. As they talked of Krishna, Swarup Damodar Goswami would sing songs exactly suitable for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's transcendental emotions. To complement the ecstasy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ramananda Rai would quote verses from the books of Vidyapati and Chandidasa, and especially from Gita Govinda by Jayadeva Goswami. At intervals, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would also recite a verse, then in great lamentation he would explain it. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu passed half the night experiencing varieties of emotion. Finally, after making the Lord lie down on his bed, Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Rai returned to their homes. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal servant, Govinda, lay down at the door of his room. The Lord very loudly chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra all night. Why at the door? So that he knows whether the Lord is crossing him and going out. Because in ecstasy, Mahaprabhu just goes out. And then he chanted the Mahamantra loudly. So Krishna is showing us that this is how we should do. Chant the Mahamantra loudly, not in the mind or softly. Suddenly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard the vibration of Krishna's flute. Then in ecstasy, he began to depart to see the Lord Krishna. Because he's Radharani, no? And he, in the middle of the night, he heard the flute and he's leaving now. All three doors were fastened as usual, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in great ecstasy, nevertheless got up to the room and left the house. Like how that Brahmana came and Nimai could escape through the doors and steal the offering of the Brahmana. Similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna. He went to a cow shed on the southern side of Simhadwara. There the Lord fell down unconscious among cows from the district of Tailanga. Meanwhile, not hearing any sound from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Govinda immediately sent for Swarup Damodar and opened the doors because he was chanting Hare Krishna. Then nothing to be heard. Then Swarup Damodar Goswami lit a torch and went out with the devotees to search for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After searching here and there, they finally came to the cow shed near Simhadwara. There they saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lying unconscious among the cows. His arms and legs had entered the trunk of his body. So this is like the kurma form, like that of a tortoise. His mouth was foaming. There was eruptions on his body and tears flowed from his eyes. These are all Ashtasatik Vihar. But then where the hands and legs have entered into the trunk of the body. That's like a tortoise. That's Kurma Chaitanya, it's called. Similarly, how Jagannath, his hands and legs were inside his, that's a kind of an ecstatic symptom. As the Lord lay there unconscious, his body resembled a large pumpkin. Externally, he was completely inert, but within he felt overwhelming transcendental bliss. All the cows around the Lord were sniffing his transcendental body. When the devotees tried to check them, they refused to give up the association with the transcendental body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's Krishna, no? The devotees tried to rouse. It said that the cows of Vrindavan also wanted Krishna as their calf. So what happened in that Brahma Vimohan Lila, when Brahma stole all the calves and the cowherd boys, Krishna expanded, right, into everyone. So for 1 year in Vrindavan, all the calves, all the cowherd boys were Krishna only. So the cows also got the desire fulfilled of having Krishna as their son. The devotees tried to rouse the Lord by various means, but his consciousness did not return. Therefore, they all lifted him and brought him back home. All the devotees began to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra very loudly in Lord's ears. And after considerable time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regained consciousness. So this was what they used to do. Chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra loudly in the Lord's ears, then he'll come back to consciousness. When he regained, so to revive our consciousness also, it's like now dead. Now to revive that lost consciousness, we should also chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra loudly so that we hear the mantra and our real consciousness can arise. When he regained consciousness, his arms and legs came out of his body and his whole body returned to normal. So it was like a tortoise and then it became normal. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stood up and then sat down. Again, looking here and there, he inquired from Sarudama, "Where have you brought me?" After hearing the vibration of a flute, I went to Vrindavan, and there I saw that Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nanda, was playing on his flute in the pasturizing ground. So he's in Jagannath Puri, but he thinks that's Vrindavan, and he could hear the flute sound, and he said, "I saw Krishna." That's Radharani saying. He brought Srimati Radharani to a bhava. No, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was seeing the Lila. It's Radha and Krishna. He brought Srimati Radharani to a bhava by signaling with his flute. Then he entered within that bhava to perform the pastimes with her. I entered the bhava just behind Krishna, my ears captivated by the sound of his ornaments. I saw Krishna and gopis enjoying all kinds of pastimes while laughing and joking together, hearing their vocal expressions and chants enhanced the joy of my ears. Just then, all of you made a tumultuous sound and brought me back here by force. So he's like, "Why did you bring me back?" Because he brought me back here, I could no longer hear the nectarian voice of Krishna and the gopis, nor could I hear the sound of their ornaments or the flute. In great ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Sarup Damodar in a flattering voice, "My ears are dying of thirst. Please recite something to quench this thirst. Let me hear it." Understanding the ecstatic emotions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sarup Damodar in a sweet voice recited the following verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. The gopis said, "My dear Lord Krishna, where is that woman within the three worlds who would not be captivated by the rhythm of the sweet songs coming from your wonderful flute? Who would not fall down from the path of chastity in this way? Your beauty is the most sublime within the three worlds. Upon seeing your beauty, even cows, birds, animals, trees in the forest are stunned in jubilation." Okay, so this is from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:29-40. Okay. Kastri angete kalapatamrita venu gita sammohitaya charita nachale trilokyam trailogya saubhagam itam nacha niriksha rupam yadgodvija drumamritha pulakani abhibhan. Okay, so the Sarup Damodar recited this verse. Upon hearing this verse, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, overwhelmed with ecstasy of the gopis, began to explain it. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "The gopis entered therein of rasa dance and ecstasy. But after hearing Krishna's words of negligence and detachment, they understood that he was going to renounce them. Thus, they began to chastise him in anger. Now, when the gopis left everything, when the flute sound came, some gopis were feeding their babies. They left there. Some babies were putting kajal. They put in one eyes and they didn't put in the other. Some were getting dressed, combing the hairs. One side they combed, one side they left. Then some were milking the cow, they left like that. Some were feeding the family, serving, they left everything like that and just went. And some gopis, they were stopped by their husbands or father. It says those gopis, they left their material body there itself. Because gopis are transcendental, they have spiritual body. And everything they did and came, and Krishna's like, why did you come in the middle of the night? Go back, go back. And he's negliging and detaching from them. And then they began to chastise him in anger. Oh dear lover, they said, please answer just one question. Who among all the youthful women within this universe is not attracted by the sound of your flute? When you play your flute, the vibration acts like a messenger in the form of a yogini, perfect in the art of chanting mantras. This messenger enchants all women of the universe and attracts them to you. Then she increases their great anxiety and induces them to give up the regulative principles of obeying superiors. Finally, she forcefully brings them to you to surrender in a amorous love. The vibration of your flute, accompanied by your glance, pierces us forcibly with the arrows of lust, induces us to ignore the regulative principles of religious life. Thus, we became excited by lusty desires and came to you, giving up all shame and fear. But now you are angry with us. You're finding fault with our violating religious principles and leaving our homes and husbands. And as you instruct us about religious principles, we become helpless. So never think this type of rasa of the Lord in the material platform. In the material world, the most abominable thing is the sweetest in spiritual world. So never bring down Krishna and the gopis to our level. You should understand this lusty desire is not this material desires what we have. It's spiritual. It's completely transcendental, right? Transcendental. So we should never pull up gopis and Krishna to our level and thinking level. So this is all transcendental. It's beyond our thinking capacity. We know that this is all a well-planned trick. This for pastime, Krishna does this. You know how to make jokes that cause the complete annihilation of women, but we can understand that your real mind, words, and behavior is different. Therefore, please give up all these clever tricks. The nectarian buttermilk of your flute's vibration, the nectar of your sweet words, the nectarian sound of your ornaments mix together to attract our ears, minds, and lives. In this way, you are killing us. Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu spoke these words in a mood of anger as he floated on the waves of ecstatic love. Merged in an ocean of anxiety, he recited a verse spoken by Srimati Radharani, expressing the same emotion. Then he personally explained the verse and thus tasted the sweetness of Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu continued, my dear friend, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna has a voice as deep as a cloud resounding in the sky. With the tinkling of his ornaments, he attracts the ears of the gopis. With the sound of his flute, he attracts even goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, another beautiful woman. That personality God known as Madana Mohanan, whose joking words carry many indications and deep meaning, is increasing the lusty desire of my ears. Krishna's deep voice is more resonant than newly arrived clouds, and his sweet song defeats even the sweet voice of the cuckoo. Indeed, his song is so sweet that even one particle of its sound can inundate the entire world. If such a particle enters one's ear, one is immediately bereft of all types of hearing. My dear friend, please tell me what to do. My ears have been plundered by the qualities of Krishna's sound. Now, however, I cannot hear his transcendental sound. I'm almost dead for want of it. The tinkling of Krishna's angle bells surpasses the song of even the swan and crane. The sound of his bangles put the singing of Chataka bird to shame. Having allowed these sounds to enter the ears even once, one cannot tolerate hearing anything else. Krishna's speech is far sweeter than nectar. Each of his jubilant words is full of meaning, and when his speech mixes with a smile, which is like camphor, the resultant sound and deep meaning of Krishna's words create various transcendental mellows. One particle of that transcendental blissful nectar is the life and soul of the ear, which is like a chakora bird that lives in hope of tasting that nectar. Sometimes by good fortune, the bird can taste it, but at other times it unfortunately cannot, and therefore almost dies of thirst. The transcendental vibration of Krishna's flute disturbs the heart of women all over the world, even if they hear it only once. Thus, their fastened belts become loose, and these women become unpaid maid servants of Krishna. Indeed, they run towards Krishna exactly like mad women. When she hears the vibration of Krishna's flute, even the goddess of fortune comes to him, greatly hoping for his association, but nevertheless, she does not get it. So, what is this? So here you can see when the waves of thirst of his association increase, she performs austerity, but still she cannot meet him. So what is this saying? Goddess of Lakshmi is always with Krishna, no? Doing Pada Sevana and all. But why it is said that hoping to have his association, but nevertheless she got it? How come Lakshmi Devi didn't get the association of the Lord? Which pastime is this?
She comes with all opulence.
Huh?
Lakshmi Devi was not admitted into the Rasa Lila. She had Aishwarya Bhava.
So what is she doing? Because she could not enter Rasalila, what did she do?
She did tapasya, but she was not able to give up the opulence.
Yeah, she was still doing tapasya. Even now it said that in one of the vanas, she's doing, Lakshmi Devi is doing tapasya. Yeah, the bhava is different. She could not get into Rasalila. Even Lord Shiva wanted to enter into Rasalila, right? Then he became a gopi called Gopishwar Mahadev. And then he was having the third eye, but he covered with his gumpad. I mean, they could not see. But then Krishna understood, that is Lord Shiva, right? And he's like, come, Gopishwari, Gopishwari. It's the topmost among gopis. And then Radharani got angry. Who's this Gopishwari? And then later on, they understood the third eye, and they understood that's Lord Shiva. He says Gopeshwar Mahadev. So even Lord Shiva wanted to enter into the Rasa lane. So even Lakshmi Devi could not enter into. This is what when Gopala Bhatta Goswami's father, that is Venkata Bhatt, when he was in Sri Rangam, they are worshippers of Lakshmi Narayan. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during Chaturmasya went there and they had a debate, kind of, that Venkata Bhatt was saying Narayan worship is the supreme. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like, if Narayan worship is the supreme, then why is Lakshmi Devi still doing tapasya in one of the forests of Vrindavan to get into Rasalila? Then Venkata Bhatt started thinking, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu beautifully explained why Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, Narayan is the expansion. Only the most fortunate can hear these four nectarian sounds, that is Krishna's words, the tinkling of the anger bells, the bangles, his voice, and vibration of his flute. So when Nimai was born, even then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's parents, Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi could hear that angle bells. And they were looking around. Nimai doesn't have an angle bell, but why is the sound coming? It's all because Krishna's sound. If one does not hear the sound, his ears are as useless as small conch shells with holes. So our ears are like this because we are not hearing the flute sound of Krishna. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lamented in this way, agitated and ecstasy awoke in his mind, he became very restless. Many transcendental ecstasies combined in him, including anxiety, lamentation, attention, eagerness, fear, determination, and remembrance. The aggregate of all these ecstasies once awoke a statement by Srimati Radharani in the mind of Billamangalam Thakur, Lila Sukha. In the same ecstatic mode, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu now recited that verse on the strength of madness, describing its meaning, which is unknown to people in general. So Billamangalam Thakur also got that line. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, alas, what shall I do? To whom shall I speak? Let whatever I have done in hopes of meeting Krishna be finished now. Please say something auspicious, but do not speak about Krishna. Alas, Krishna is lying within my heart like Cupid. Therefore, how can I possibly give up talking to him? I cannot forget Krishna, whose smile is sweeter than the sweetness itself and who gives pleasure to my mind and eyes. Alas, my great thirst for Krishna is increasing moment by moment. See, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, I cannot forget Krishna. We find it difficult to remember Krishna. We forget Krishna all the time. And here he cannot forget Krishna. He's saying that thirst for Krishna is increasing moment by moment. Right? Anandambudi vardhanam pratipatam purnam ridaswara. Every moment by moment, the pleasure is increasing. The anxiety caused by separation from Krishna has made me impatient. So this is the Vitralamba Bhav. And I can think of no way to meet him. Oh, my friends, you are also deranged by lamentation. Who therefore will tell me how to find him? Oh, my dear friends, how shall I find Krishna? What shall I do? Where shall I go? Where can I meet him? Because I cannot find Krishna, my life is leaving me. So this is the mood which Radharani felt when Krishna left Vrindavan. For like 100 years, she was in separation from Krishna. So she was also doing the same thing. Where can I find Krishna? Where can I meet? Suddenly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became calm and considered his state of mind. He remembered the words of Pingala, and this aroused an ecstasy that moved him to speak. Thus, he explained the meaning of the word. Does anyone know who Pingala is? Any idea? No? In Bhagavatam, the Avadut Brahman will have so many gurus. So one of the gurus, the Pingala. Pingala was a prostitute, but then later on she became a devotee. So she stood on the streets at night, thinking that who can gratify her senses. And she keeps on looking one by one person. Nobody could give him sense gratification. So she started interrupting that, and she started thinking, what am I doing? Just trying to satisfy my senses. And then slowly she became the devotee. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, If I give up hope of meeting Krishna, I shall then be happy. Therefore, let us stop this most inglorious discussion of Krishna. It would be better for us to talk about glorious topics and forget him. He's like, I want to forget. Right? The more you think about the person, you remember, no? While speaking in this way, Srimati Radharani suddenly remembered Krishna. Indeed, he appeared within her heart. Greatly astonished, she told her friends, the person I want to forget is lying in my heart. She can't forget. She's like, they are together always. Srimati Radharani's ecstasy also made her think of Krishna as Cupid, and this understanding frightened her. She said, this Cupid who have conquered the whole world entered my heart and is my greatest enemy, for he does not allow me to forget him. Then great eagerness conquered all the other soldiers of ecstasy. An uncontrollable desire arose in the kingdom of Srimati Radharani's mind. Greatly unhappy, she then chastised her own mind. See, Radharani is teaching us lesson. We should chastise our mind. Now, once Namanishta Prabhu was saying the mind is like a child, weird child, in the sense that child who likes to get beaten. So we should beat our minds with a shoe and make it understand that it should not deviate from Krishna consciousness. So we need to chastise our mind. The more we chastise the mind, the more mature and more patient it becomes. And if we do not think of Krishna, if I do not think of Krishna, my impoverished mind will die within a moment like a fish out of water. But when I see Krishna's sweetly smiling face, my mind and eyes are so pleased that my desire for him redoubles, redoubles. So we were all like this fish out of water. Once you come to Krishna consciousness, you know, I can't live with one day without chanting. I can't live one day without reading Prabhupada's book or hearing Bhagavad-gita and Bhagavad Gita, right? So you feel that something is missing. You feel like, so it's like a fish out of water. A fish out of water, even if it's in a golden pot, it's not happy. It has to go back to the water. We are all like that now in this material world, like a fish out of water. Krishna created this material world in such a way so that we realize it, right? So we are fortunate we are able to realize because of Srila Prabhupada and other acharyas, and we need to get back into that water. That's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the ocean of devotional ecstasy. Right. And also it is said that even though Radharani want to forget Krishna, when she see the sweet smile, the desire to have him redoubles. It's become double and double. Alas, where is Krishna, the treasure of my life? Where is the lotus-eyed one? Alas, where is the divine ocean of all transient qualities? Alas, where is the beautiful blackish youth dressed in yellow garments? Alas, where is the hero of the Rasa dance? Where shall I go? Where can I find you? Please tell me. I shall go there. Speaking in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began running. Swarup Damodar Goswami stood up and caught him and took him on his lap. Then Swarup Damodar brought him back to his place and made him sit down. Because once Mahaprabhu runs, he'll hit. He don't even see trees and pillars standing. He just hit and go. So much bleeding will happen. So Swarup Damodar caught him. Suddenly, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned to external consciousness and said to Swarup Damodar Goswami, my dear Swarupa, please sing some sweet songs. The Lord's ears were satisfied when he heard Swarup Damodar singing songs from Gita Govinda and those by the poet Vidyapati. Each day and night, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would become deranged in this way and talk like a madman. Even Ananta Dev, who possesses thousands of mouths, cannot fully describe the ecstatic transformation that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu experienced in single day. Ananta Shesh have 1,000 mouths, and each mouth you can see one tongue, and at the end it splits to two. It's 2,000 tongues. Still, he cannot stop glorifying the transformation of Mahaprabhu. What can a poor creature like me describe of this transformation? I can give only a hint of them, as if showing the moon through the branches of a tree. Sometimes, when kids are not eating food, the mothers, even our mothers, nowadays it's all smartphones. But still, olden days, how do they feed kids? They take out, they show the sun, the crows, moon. So initially the child doesn't see. The child looks the mother. Then the mother points out, see there, and then they see. So they see the moon through the branches of the tree. So initially they don't see the moon, they see the branch, but slowly they see the moon. So it's said that the comparison is given like that. This description, however, will satisfy the mind and ears of anyone who hears it, and he will be able to understand these uncommon activities of deep ecstatic love for Krishna. These are all beyond our imagination. We cannot even think of like this, because Prabhupada says we should cry for Krishna. We're not crying, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati says, we're not crying, cry that you're not crying for Krishna. This is the lamentation. We are not with Krishna now in this material world. So we should have that feeling that why I am separated from Krishna. Ecstasy love for Krishna is wonderfully deep. By personally tasting the glorious sweetness of their love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed us the extreme limit. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is wonderfully merciful and wonderfully magnanimous. We have heard of no one else within the three worlds so merciful and charitable. Right? Namo Mahāvadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayade Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradishiram. Mahāvadanyaya means magnanimous. Why Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful? Because he gives us Krishna Prema, which nobody can give. Even Krishna cannot give. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is able to give because Radharani is there. Oh, people of the world. So that's why when somebody asked for Prabhupada, who's more merciful, Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Put in the chat, who's more merciful, Krishna or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? What did Prabhupada reply? I want to hear what Prabhupada replied. All are wrong. Tanvi got it right. That's the answer which Prabhupada gave. So when Prabhupada was asked, who's more merciful, Mahaprabhu or Krishna? Prabhupada said, Radharani is more merciful. So he says, Radharani is more merciful. O people of the world, worship the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in all respects. Only in this way will you achieve the transcendental treasure of ecstatic love for Krishna. And as I have described, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's ecstatic transformation of being like a tortoise. Now, when he heard about Krishna, he went into a kurma form. That's like withdrawing the hands and legs into the body. That's like a kurma Chaitanya. In that ecstasy, he talked and acted like a madman. That same thing happened with Jagannath. So people think Jagannath doesn't have a hand and leg. No, he has. It's like inside his body now because it's in ecstatic form. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami has fully described this pastime in his book, Gaurangastava Kalpavriksha. How wonderful it is. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left his residence without opening the three strongly bolted doors. Then he crossed over. So it was bolted the doors, but still he went out. Then he crossed over three high walls, and later, because of strong feeling of separation from Krishna, he fell down amidst the cows of Tailanga district and retracted the limbs of his body like a tortoise. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared in that way, rise in my heart and maddens me. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Raghunatha, always desiring their mercy, I Krishnadasa narrates Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita following in their footsteps. Jai. We're almost done. We have just 3 more chapters to go, 18, 19, 20. Rescuing the Lord from the sea. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will go and fall into the sea. And again, he goes unconscious because wherever he sees water, he thinks it's Yamuna. Now what to do? He goes and jumps, right? And then when he goes and jumps there, he's unconscious. And how they come and rescue the Lord. Sometimes they even put a net and captures him. So much he was in ecstasy. We won't be able to understand all this because we are not still in that stage of bhava or prema, right? We are still stuck somewhere in anartha nivritti and all that. So this is all high pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which I think only pure devotees can really understand this. Like Srila Prabhupada, this Paramahamsa. When they read, it's not like how we read. We just read, just a pastime, but they read with a lot of emotions and in ecstasy. Okay, but at least we got some chance to understand Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's bhav. Can I stop? We'll just take questions maybe next 2